There can be no debate that we have come to a breaking point with our planet. Our societies become accustomed to simply taking what we need from the Earth, depleting its resources, and not replacing or restoring nearly as much as what's been taken. Relatively recently, there have been steps in the right direction. Areas are being reserved for the preservation of their biodiversity, and organizations such as the International Union for the Conservation of Native and Natural Resources are publishing lists of endangered or nearly extinct species for public view. Although these efforts are having impactfully positive results, there is no doubt that significant damage has been done. Fossil fuels such as petroleum, natural gas, and coal have been the main source of power in the United States, as well as many other countries, for more than 100 years. Each of those materials cause damage to the ozone layer of our atmosphere through either the material itself or the byproducts produced while the substance is being processed. This, in addition to methane and carbon released by livestock, as well as melting permafrost, will make our planet 8 degrees warmer by the year 2100. This may not sound like much, but it will have detrimental effects to our ecosystems, mainly the Arctic.
Habitat loss is one of the greatest threats to the variety of life on this planet. It is identified as a main threat to 85% of all species according to the IUCN's Red List. Habitat loss and degradation is primarily due to expansion of agricultural land, yet other human-caused activities would be overharvesting, overgrazing, and pollution. National Geographic published an article in 2014 discussing how extinction rates are calculated. It can be difficult because no one knows exactly how many species there are. They determined then that the rate of species loss seems to be 100 to 1,000 species per million per year. And with 1.9 million known species with so many more unknown, humans are causing thousands of animals to go extinct without even getting a chance to see them first. The rapid loss of species that we are seeing today is estimated to be between 1,000 to 10,000 times higher than the natural extinction rate. The polar bear is a classic example on human-caused habitat loss. The rapid growth of the human population causes a larger need for fossil fuels, which emits greenhouse gases that are warming our planet. This is causing the polar ice caps to melt and therefore removing the polar bear's native habitat.
With the concern of rising temperatures and glacial melting, thawing permafrost should also be taken under consideration. Within this perpetually frozen layer of soil are preserved organisms that would otherwise release mass amounts of greenhouse gases. After plant and animal death, microbes consume the matter, known as decomposition, and release carbon dioxide, methane, and other gases as a byproduct that all contribute to the warming of the planet. With complex organisms existing for thousands of years, the permafrost contains the largest deposit of the aforementioned greenhouse gases on Earth. With methane trapping 80 times more heat than carbon dioxide, a positive feedback loop is created to climate change. With more and more organisms being exposed, therefore multiplying the ambient gases contributing to global warming, other harmful substances continue to be exposed, such as mercury and possibly harmful pathogens. Permafrost lays claim to twice the amount of mercury than that is trapped in the ocean, atmosphere, and all other soil types combined. Along with the exposure of this powerful neurotoxin, the temperature of the permafrost, coupled with the darkness of the frozen soil, could keep a virus or bacterium dormant for thousands of years. As shown in a recent outbreak of anthrax in Siberia, it is believed that thawing permafrost was responsible for releasing anthrax spores into local water sources as well as the surrounding soil. Anthrax is an extremely infectious disease that is transmitted through contact with either infected animals or infected animal products. Outbreaks are rarely seen today, but the bacteria can cause rashes and inflammation, nausea, vomiting, and shortness of breath, only to list a few of the symptoms, any of which could be fatal. The resulting outbreak was the first the area had seen in over 75 years. At the moment, it is unsure whether or not diseases known to be in the Arctic tundra from mass graves, such as smallpox or the Spanish influenza, pose immediate threat. However, if excavation of permafrost continues due to resource mining, human contact with the possibly harmful diseases of antiquity is greatly increased. The unstable warming of the planet also contributes to the fluctuation of permafrost thawing and freezing, causing damage to landscapes and their surrounding infrastructure. due to the way hydrogen bonds form in order to achieve the crystalline structure of ice. As water freezes, it expands. As the process commences underground, the Earth's crust swells. When temperatures rise, the ground contracts, causing the surface to split or create sinkholes, compromising the surroundings. With temperatures climbing higher than normal, the effects are more dramatic, with added intensity to landslides and soil erosion due to the much softer ground. This process may cause habitat fragmentation and permanent warping of ecosystems, reducing the surrounding biodiversity. The softening soil also allows for the releasing of sediment into nearby waterways, causing a change in their flow, reducing the water's quality and possibly harming local aquatic wildlife. Further, without a frozen buffer, water can easily absorb further into the ground, leaving the surface drier and more prone to wildfire, which in turn degrades the surface, exposing more of the permafrost newly introduced to the harsher, warmer conditions.
Drilling for oil in the Arctic is a much more controversial topic than drilling for oil on land. This is because of issues such as habitat destruction and oil spills. Many people and animals depend on the Arctic ecosystems. When big oil companies set their sights on Arctic oil, they do not consider the fragile ecosystems that exist here. The polar ice and unpredictable weather conditions increase the likelihood of oil spills. According to the U.S. Department of the Interior, there is a 75% chance of an oil spill in the Arctic. The process of drilling in the Arctic is also much different than drilling for oil on land. The first step of Arctic offshore drilling is to create a wellbore. A wellbore is the actual hole that forms the oil well. It can be encased by materials such as steel, cement, or it may be uncased. Wellbores can be used to locate and extricate oil in the ground. In the Arctic, this is drilled to the seabed. Once the wellbore is complete, the Christmas tree is installed. This is the most visible and most active part of the well. It is made up of tubes, valves, and gauges which allow for adjustments and flow control to stimulate production. They are tall and vertical, and to some people, they resemble a Christmas tree, hence the name. The problem is not only the wells themselves, but the accompaniment of roads, airstrips, and the additional resources used. The BLM estimates that 5 months of oil drilling, construction, and other development will require about 8 to 15 million gallons of water. Also, there is the issue of what to do with the waste produced from the process. In the past, humans have dumped waste into reserve pits, but now we have begun re-injecting the waste into the ground.
Ice loss is a global problem, but it is occurring at even faster rates in the Arctic. This ice loss is caused by human-driven climate change, leading to negative impacts on other humans, international political movements, and ethical dilemmas. Northern ethnic groups have distinct cultures, languages, traditions, and distinct ways of interacting with their neighbors and environments, but what these cultures also have in common is an intimate understanding of their environments. This means that glacial ice loss has a direct impact on the ethnic groups of these areas. This vulnerability is a result of close relationships of community residents to the land and their reliance on local environments for aspects of everyday life, such as their diet and economy. Fragile ice is threatening migration patterns and even the very existence of some of the animals on which villages rely on for food, while also endangering the hunters attempting to find those animals. Consequently, these new conditions make it more difficult and dangerous to track the movement of caribou, a staple of the northern diet. Unfortunately, an ethical dilemma is created by attempting to protect these environments while also protecting the culture of the Inuit people and other northern regional cultures. Assimilation is an indirect threat due to technology and an increasingly developing world. It may be best to help the Inuit people as much as possible through international involvement with the Inuit Circumpolar Council. The principal goals of the Inuit Circumpolar Council are to strengthen the unity among the Inuit of the Circumpolar region, promote Inuit rights and interests at an international level, develop and encourage long-term policies that safeguard the Arctic environment, and full active partnership in the political, economic, and social development of the circumpolar regions. The Inuit Circumpolar Council has grown into a major international non-government organization representing approximately 160,000 Inuit of Alaska, Canada, Greenland, and the Chukotka region of Russia. The Council has directly addressed the United States Senate, where the Inuit Circumpolar Conference publicly argued that climate change will lead to loss of culture and identity.